In the heart of the hero's civil war, alliances will shatter, friendships will be destroyed, and the fate of freedom itself will be decided on the battlefield. You are about to live every page, every blow, every choice, as if you were inside the movie theater. Welcome to the ultimate living comic book experience. This is Explosive Nerd HQ. So smash that explosive like collision. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single chapter of this war. Share this video with your fellow nerds, and tell us in the comments. Whose side are you on? Captain America or Iron Man? The war continues, and you are part of it. Shield Base, Arizona, the heart of the Superhuman Registration Initiative's training program. Maria Hill watches the field and remarks with a sharp tone. Can we really call him Hercules, when there's already a Hercules out there? Hank Pym replies calmly, his eyes still fixed on the training ground. Fortunately, Greek gods aren't especially litigious. Commander Hill. And besides, all those Goliaths over the years never bothered me. On the field, the giant known as Lascano lifts a massive war tank, his muscles straining under its crushing weight. The Red Archer releases energy-charged arrows across the testing range, and in the distance, Tony Stark, clad in an advanced armor reminiscent of the superior Iron Man, trains with colossal weights, forging soldiers for the battles to come. Thus begins the next stage of the war, an army shaped under the command of Tony Stark, ready to face Captain America's resistance. Maria Hill speaks as she observes the training field with sharp eyes. The Avengers in New York and these champions in California give the initiative a real sense of balance. Dr. Pym. And turning Hermes into a former Olympic track star was a stroke of genius. Was that you or Reed Richards? Hank Pym answers with a faint smile, adjusting his clipboard. Actually, that was Tony Stark. He also came up with the idea of making Aphrodite a former supermodel. Please, stay clear of the track. Hermes bursts across the field, leaving a trail of golden energy, the ground scorched by the force of his speed. Impressed, Hill asks, what kind of speed is Hermes hitting now? Pym replies with calm confidence. Mach 1, if he hasn't eaten. But by the time we go public, he'll be pushing Mach 3. Hill continues, her tone all business. The champions in California, those Mormon heroes in Utah, and the Space Knights heading for Chicago. But who do we have covering Iowa? Are you sending the Force Works team there? Pym nods firmly. Yes, pending background checks and full approval from the local authorities. He pauses, eyes steady with conviction. The public needs super people they can count on. We do this right, or we don't do it at all. An agent approaches Hank Pym, speaking with urgency. Problem with Poseidon? Dr. Pym, I think one of the guys gave him the wrong meds, and he's turned a strange color. Could you take a look? Hank replies calmly, already stepping away. No problem. Commander, would you excuse me for a moment? Maria Hill gives a simple nod as the agent clears the way. Of course, Doctor. The scene cuts to the Baxter building. Reed Richards, his eyes weary beneath the surgical mask, hears Tony's voice over the comms. Reed, it's Tony. How's the Thor cyborg's reprogramming coming along? Have you figured out what the problem was? Exhausted after 36 straight hours in surgery, Reed answers, a little late for Bill Foster, but the blocker I implanted in his brain should keep him from killing anyone when we launch the big push. Reed continues, his voice tired but steady. And what's the situation on the ground? I've been out of action since I walked into this operating room. The scene shifts to Tony Stark, standing tall in his armor, framed against the American flag billowing in the night sky. With confidence, he declares, just like you predicted on your probability map, crime rates haven't been this low since Eisenhower was in office. Can you imagine how boring it's going to be once the new heroes are fully up and running? Reed responds bluntly, boring is good. Tony, boring means no little kids are getting buildings dropped on top of them. As Reed continues his delicate surgery, Tony's voice cuts through the comms. How did your call with the president go? Focused but calm, Reed answers without hesitation. I told him I wouldn't take part in our grand finale unless I had an absolute guarantee Sue and Johnny wouldn't face arrest. Tony presses. And what did he say? Reed explains. Steady as ever. He agreed to grant us 12 immunities, but everyone else would still be open to prosecution, with unwavering confidence. Tony smirks beneath the armor. Leave the rest to me. I'm seeing him for dinner anyway. The scene shifts. The Baxter Building. Frank Castle, clad in a stealth suit, whispers through comms. Just cleared level 38. Alarms are silent. 2 more stories and we're in cap. Steve responds. His tone sharp with caution. Careful, Castle. Touch one of those spheres and the whole system attacks you like a foreign organism. Sue told me Reed based their security this month on the human immune system. Castle grins inside the mask. His voice calm. Confident. Relax. Nothing can see me while I'm wearing these dampers. I'm invisible to cameras and trip beams. Cap's voice hardens with curiosity. Where the hell did you even get your hands on that kind of hardware? Castle lets out a dry chuckle. Let's just say Tony Stark's warehouse manager should invest in bigger locks. Castle pushes deeper. The system bends. The final breach is within reach. Frank Castle breaches the system. His voice cold and steady. Connection established. I'm inside their database. At the safe house. Captain America's firm voice cuts through. The glow of monitors reflecting on his face. Good. I need everything on Complex 42. The super prison in the negative zone where they're holding our allies. I want dimensions. Access routes. Every single entry point. And Castle. Can you manage that without putting a bullet in someone's head? Castle smirks as his fingers fly across the keyboard. Hilarious. Suddenly, he freezes, frowning at the screen. Oh, this isn't good. Cap looks up sharply. What's wrong? Castle's eyes narrow, scanning the data. This compound's got more protection than anything I've ever seen. You're gonna need a hell of a lot more than your band of grunts to bust these guys out. With an unshakable gaze, Captain America replies without hesitation. I'm on it, Castle. Just keep typing. Atlantis. Susan Storm, the invisible woman, strides into the grand throne room, the ocean's glow shimmering across the ancient walls. Namor, sovereign of the seas, reclines upon his throne, his piercing gaze fixed on her with regal defiance. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice. Namor, I know your court prefers to follow royal protocols, but we don't have much time. The rebel team's raid is planned for tonight, and everyone else has turned us down. Having you on our side could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Namor tilts his head, his presence commanding. Your Majesty. Susan frowns, caught off guard. What? Namor's voice is deep and deliberate. That's the proper term when addressing a foreign dignitary. Mrs. Richards. Susan steadies herself, her eyes blazing with urgency. Don't play games. Namor, this is the greatest crisis we've ever faced. The government has issued a superhuman registration act, and they're imprisoning everyone who refuses to comply. Can you believe it? They're actually recruiting supervillains to hunt our people down. Namor rises from his throne, his voice thundering through the halls of Atlantis. You speak as if it matters. Susan, the struggles of your little world are as meaningless to me as the tides themselves. The death of my cousin Namorita was the only part one played in this debacle, and her killer has already been dealt with privately. Sue steps forward, her voice steady but laced with emotion. But Cap is one of your oldest friends. You've known him longer than anyone. Namor glares, the waters around him trembling with his fury. And where is this friend now? Striking deals with the X-Men? Or with Stephen Strange? While he sends you here with those pleading eyes. Tell your new master I have no interest in helping a man who seeks to exploit our unique relationship. Sue's eyes flash with indignation. What are you talking about? We don't have a relationship. Namor steps closer, towering over her, his voice low and dangerous. I can feel your heartbeat pulsing through the water. Mrs. Richards. He lifts his hand, almost brushing against her lips. and finishes with venomous certainty. And it tells a very different story than the lies spilling from your mouth. The Secret Avengers. The team marches down the corridor, their footsteps echoing like an army in the shadows of war. Captain America turns to Falcon, his tone firm and direct. "So, Falcon, what kind of numbers are we looking at?" Falcon answers without hesitation, his voice heavy with the weight of bad news. Namor said no. Wolverine won't break ranks with the X-Men, and Doctor Strange is still out of reach. Cap. But the Black Panther was furious over Bill Foster's death. He gave me his word that both he and Storm will stand with us. As they continue forward, Luke Cage steps closer to Spider-Man, his deep voice carrying a note of camaraderie. "How you holding up, Parker? Feeling any better?" Peter glances up from behind the mask, his tone light but sincere. "Not too bad, Cage. Still a little dizzy from Jack-o'-lantern's bomb. But I gotta admit, it feels amazing to be back in my old costume." Cage smiles, clapping a strong hand on Peter's shoulder. "Gives me a good feeling. Man, like things are finally getting back to normal. You know what I mean?" The Punisher, walking behind them, mutters with sharp irony, "Geez, you two want to get a room." Spider-Man shoots back with trademark wit. "Ooh, what's wrong? Big guy. Jealous." The dark room glows with the three-dimensional hologram of the Negative Zone prison. Captain America stands tall before the group, his voice firm and commanding. The Punisher secured the plans for the Negative Zone prison. The entire layout can be seen in this holographic schematic. Officially, it's meant for high-risk supervillains. But as you know, rebel heroes are being held there too. Falcon steps forward, pointing at the glowing projection. Stark, Pym, and Richards are setting up puppet heroes in every state, with 50 portals feeding directly into this massive super prison. So far, only 2 of those gateways are operational. We've obtained the codes for the one on Rikers Island. Captain America's expression hardens, his words heavy with urgency. "We need to move fast. Our intel suggests they're preparing a massive strike with S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Thunderbolts. That makes tonight our absolute last opportunity." He turns to Spider-Man, his tone softening slightly. "Parker, I know you're not at your best right now. Nobody's gonna fault you if you sit this one out." But Peter raises his head, determination burning through the mask. "Not a chance. Cap, I need to do something to make up for the bad calls I've made lately. Besides, with numbers as thin as they are, you're gonna need every extra pair of hands." The resistance meeting is tense, the air heavy with suspicion. Diamondback steps forward, her voice cutting through the silence. "Actually, the numbers might be better than we anticipated. Goldbug, Plunderer, why don't you stand up and tell everyone what we discussed?" The Human Torch widens his eyes in disbelief, muttering, "What?" Captain America steps in, his voice sharp and commanding. "Explain yourselves. Now." Goldbug smirks, his golden mask gleaming under the dim light. "You're not the only ones afraid, Captain. This country is sliding into a police state, and the criminal underworld sees it coming clearer than anyone." Beside him, Plunderer adds with a sly, calculated tone, "We just came by to let you know. We're here if you need us. Seems only fair, right? Stark already has his army of supervillains, so why shouldn't you?" But before the room can erupt, the silence is shattered by the roar of gunfire. In an instant, Goldbug and Plunderer are torn apart, their bodies collapsing lifelessly to the ground. All eyes turn to the source. The Punisher stands there, smoke still curling from his weapons, his expression cold, merciless, absolute. He raises his head, stares at the stunned heroes, and with icy calm utters a single word. "What?" The silence shatters in an instant. Captain America, consumed by fury, drives a brutal punch straight into the Punisher's face. The impact cracks like thunder, blood spraying from the blow. With eyes blazing in anger, Roger spits his words like venom. You murderous piece of trash. Before anyone can react, the second strike comes. The shield swings with deadly force, smashing into Frank Castle, slamming him against the wall. The Punisher staggers, blood running down his face. He doesn't lift a hand. He doesn't fight back. He simply locks eyes with the captain, his voice low, broken, but steady as iron. They were bad guys. Cap, thieves and killers. In that moment, the entire room feels it. This isn't just violence. It's the collision of two codes of war. Rogers' unyielding honor against Castle's merciless justice. Captain America charges forward, fury burning in his eyes. With a brutal strike, he drives his boot into the Punisher's face, shouting with venom, "Shut up!" Blood sprays from Frank Castle's mouth, but he doesn't lift a hand. He doesn't fight back. Rogers grabs Frank by the head, slamming it against his shield, and delivers a crushing knee strike, a brutal blow, like a Muay Thai fighter unleashing pure wrath. The impact hurls Castle back into a massive monitor, the glass shattering into fragments, as the surrounding screens stay lit, casting a cold glow over the scene of violence. Frank staggers, his body battered and broken, yet he refuses to retaliate. He endures it all in silence. Captain America seizes him by the collar, pinning him hard against the wall, with the shield pressed to his chest. Raising his fist once more, Rogers roars with rage. "Fight, you coward!" The Punisher lifts his bloodied face, his voice raspy but unshaken, each word cutting through the silence. "Not against you," and in that haunting stillness, as broken screens flicker around them, the truth becomes clear. This isn't weakness. It's respect, carved in blood. Captain America, still burning with fury, points at the bloodied Punisher, his voice booming like a battlefield command. "Get him out of here, and throw his guns in the incinerator." I must have been out of my mind to give that animal a chance on this team. Amid the shattered glass of the broken monitor, Frank Castle lies silent, his refusal to fight more deafening than any gunfire. Misty Knight, arms crossed, delivers her observation with icy precision. "Well, he lasted about 10 minutes longer than I expected." Patriot speaks first, his words heavy with the weight of history. "Are you kidding me? Cap's probably the reason he went to Vietnam." Same man, different war. Standing beside Patriot, Spider-Man mutters in disbelief, his voice low and uncertain. "I just don't get it. Why wouldn't he fight back against Cap?" The silence lingers, pressing down on everyone. Then Steve Rogers' gaze sharpens, and he cuts through the room with a voice cold as steel. "Wrong. Frank Castle is insane." Stamford, Connecticut, amid fountains and statues built in memory of the fallen, Tony Stark walks alongside Miriam Sharp in the Children's Memorial Gardens. "Tony Stark, I hope you like the gardens we built in the children's honor." Miriam Sharp, "They're beautiful. Tony, it's comforting to have a place where we can sit when the loneliness sets in." Miriam Sharp continues, "I really want to thank you, not just for the money, but for all the work you've done to push my big idea forward. I hate how much it's cost you personally. I never would have asked if I'd known your lives would be torn apart like this." Tony Stark, "We knew what we were stepping into." Miriam, "There's no shame in making enemies, if it means making people safer." Doctor Strange's sanctuary, the North Pole, in the midst of snow and freezing winds. Mystic circles glow upon the ground. Doctor Strange sits in meditation, while the cosmic figure, Watu the Watcher, observes in silence. Watu the Watcher, "How long has it been since you last ate?" Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange, "Since the Civil War began." Watu, "Only a little water." Watu the Watcher, "And you are not tempted to end it. With your great power, you could stop this war with a single gesture, or even a whisper." Doctor Strange, "That is precisely why I must remain above the conflict. There is no absolute right or wrong in this debate, only differing perspectives. It is not my place to shape the evolution of the superhuman role. Snow falls heavily over the North Pole. The silence is broken only by the deep, resonant voice of Watu the Watcher, looming like a cosmic shadow. As a watcher, I am more than familiar with such dilemmas. He leans closer, his gaze fixed upon the sorcerer encircled by burning runes. But tell me, Strange, why the fasting? If you take no side, what outcome are you meditating for? With his eyes closed, surrounded by flames and snow, Dr. Strange answers with calm authority, his words carrying an ancient weight. For whichever victory is best for all mankind, my friend, and for the one that spills the least amount of blood. Tonight, the camera pulls back, drifting away from the glowing circle of magic. As the blizzard fades into the golden hues of a distant sunset, Riker's Island Penitentiary, the dark fortress rises against the horizon. Inside, guards and automatons stand watch over a portal marked with the number 42, the prison where heroes and villains share the same fate, and where the war's future will be decided. The corridors of Prison 42 erupt in violence. Guards and automatons are taken down with swift, precise strikes, their bodies crashing against the steel walls. The veil of invisibility fades, and Captain America's secret army emerges from the shadows like a living storm. At the front, Steve Rogers leads with unyielding resolve, flanked by Susan Storm, Spider-Man, Black Panther, Storm, Vision, Spider-Woman, Luke Cage, Tigra, and more. A true uprising against tyranny. Captain America, thank you, Susan. It's safe to make us visible again now that we're through. Panther, what's the status of prison security? Black Panther, neutralized from top to bottom. Captain, though I must admit, we wouldn't have made it this far without Mr. Fantastic's blueprints. The group pushes forward, tense, every step charged with anticipation of the coming war. Sam Wilson, the Falcon, locks eyes with Chala, his voice carrying the weight of gratitude. Thank you again for standing with us. Chala, I know it was in Wakanda's best interest to remain neutral, but Black Panther, forget it. Our friend Goliath would still be alive if my wife and I had taken a stand when you first asked for help. A heavy silence falls over the team, thick with loss and regret. Suddenly, Spider-Man halts, raising his hand in sharp alarm, eyes wide behind the mask. Captain America, what is it? Parker, Spider-Man, my spider sense is off the charts. This is DEFCON 1. The air grows heavier, as if the prison itself is holding its breath. Something colossal is about to strike. The reinforced corridor of Prison 42 trembles, as if heralding the arrival of a cataclysm. The massive doors burst open with a metallic roar, and an unstoppable wave of superhumans charges forth like an army of living weapons. At the very front, clad in red and gold, strides Tony Stark, Iron Man, every step echoing like a sentence of war. Beside him towers Yellow Jacket, Hank Pym, his form amplified and radiant, a symbol that science and raw power now march side by side to crush the resistance. Behind him, the vanguard shines with Earth's mightiest and most dangerous figures. Sentry, the golden god of light, floating above, his very presence bending the atmosphere with overwhelming power. Ms. Marvel, Carol Danvers, glowing with cosmic energy, her fists carrying the fury of a star. She-Hulk, a wall of muscle and rage, charging like an unstoppable tank. Living lightning, sparking with pure green electricity, his body radiating raw energy. Bishop, hardened by battles yet to come, ready to turn any strike back against his enemies. Mr. Fantastic, eyes cold and calculating, orchestrating every move like a grand strategist. Taskmaster, the lethal mimic, blades in hand, ready to unleash the perfected styles of countless warriors. The Wasp, darting through the air with pinpoint precision, her sting as deadly as ever, and surrounding them, a legion of metahumans and enforcers, the living embodiment of Stark's law. The camera closes in on Iron Man's armored face, his voice resonating through the helmet. Metallic, cold, utterly confident. I'm not surprised. The lines are drawn. The armies are assembled. The stage for Civil War's greatest battle has been set. The silence of Prison 42 is shattered by the metallic, commanding voice of Iron Man. You've walked right into another trap, Captain. Earth's mightiest heroes, plus Earth's most dangerous villains. We've had a mole in your team for over a week, outnumbered and cornered. Maybe it's time to talk surrender. Captain America raises his head, defiance burning in his eyes as he fires back. I don't think so. If you're talking about Tigra, we already knew everything. Tigra, stunned, gasps in disbelief. What? The tension spikes as Cap continues, his voice sharp as a blade. You're not the only one with a spy in your team. The words strike hard. Iron Man clenches his fists, his voice rising through the armor with fury. Impossible. The only ones who knew about Tigra were myself, Hank, and Reed. Suddenly, the imposing figure of Yellow Jacket, Hank Pym, lowers his head. Slowly, he removes his helmet, his voice heavy with regret. I'm sorry, Tony. The betrayal cuts like steel. Iron Man takes a step forward, his tone a mix of rage and heartbreak. Hank, what are you doing? You believed in this more than any of us. The room falls into a deadly silence. The battlefield of Civil War has just been rewritten. Not by fists, but by shattered trust. The figure everyone believed to be Yellow Jacket begins to change before their stunned eyes. Skin shifts, muscles turn green, and the truth is revealed in a defiant glare. Hulking speaks, steady and fearless. But I'm not Hank. Dr. Pym's been drugged and unconscious since I took him out, and replaced him back in Arizona this morning. I'm hulking, the young Avengers' resident shape-changer. The camera cuts to Iron Man, frozen in shock, disbelief radiating even through his armored faceplate. Reed Richards whispers, horrified, "Oh dear God." Reed continues, voice trembling with realization. If he could mimic Hank's voice and retinal pattern, then he's had full authority to do whatever he wanted. Close on the glowing visor of Iron Man's helmet, his eyes narrowing with fury. Iron Man growls. The cells, the shadows stir. Heavy doors slide open. From the darkness, silhouettes emerge. Prisoners unleashed into the battlefield. And then, with calm determination and unshakable resolve, Captain America looks at the freed allies and declares, I believe this evens the odds a little. The silence is deafening. The balance of the Civil War has just shifted, and Steve Rogers stands at its heart. The air inside Prison 42 grows heavier, as if reality itself is holding its breath. On one side, leading the resistance, stands Captain America, his shield raised high, the unyielding symbol of freedom. At his side, the rebels prepare. Daredevil, senses sharpened, ready to strike from the shadows. Hercules, the demigod, his muscles coiled with divine strength. Falcon, wings spread, eyes sharp as an eagle locked on its prey. Susan Storm, the invisible woman, her focus unbreakable, ready to shield her allies. Spider-Man, agile and fierce, springing forward with youthful courage. Cloak and Dagger, embodiments of shadow and light, hope and despair entwined. Patriot, and the young heroes of tomorrow, standing tall beside their idols, willing to risk everything. On the opposite side, advancing like an unstoppable army, stands Iron Man, the glow of his armor reflecting authority and control. Surrounding him, the Sentry, floating like a golden god, limitless power barely contained. Ms. Marvel, Carol Danvers, a living star, blazing with unstoppable energy. She-Hulk, raw power incarnate, her fury ready to be unleashed. Venom, monstrous and savage, darkness given form and hunger. Bullseye, the mercenary, every move precise, every glance a promise of death. Mr. Fantastic, cold and calculating, the mastermind of the strategy. Living Lightning, crackling with pure energy, a storm waiting to be unleashed. The Wasp, darting like a deadly blade in the air, and a legion of metahumans, mercenaries, and villains, all united under Stark's command. Two armies stare each other down, shoulder to shoulder, eye to eye, like ancient legions on the brink of collision. The camera pulls back, revealing the chamber, the tension etched into every face. Silence hangs heavy. The next move is not diplomacy. It is war. The corridor turns into a battlefield of tension, every second charged like the spark before an explosion. Susan Storm, the invisible woman, stands tall, her eyes locked on the fight ahead. Determination hardens her features. She knows there is no turning back. Luke Cage, unmovable as a wall of steel, clenches his fists, his breath steady, his body prepared to absorb the storm about to be unleashed. And at the very front, leading them all, stands Captain America, shield raised, face carved by the weight of war. His blue eyes burn with the fire of leadership. He doesn't just see enemies ahead. He sees the fate of heroes, the destiny of freedom itself. With a voice that cuts through the silence like thunder, he commands, "Close your eyes. Gentlemen, this might hurt." The camera pushes in on his unyielding face. A heartbeat echoes. Then, the frame fades to black. And across the darkness, the words strike like a war drum. To be concluded. 3 words. 3 thunderclaps. A promise that the war is far from over. The final battle is coming. Captain America versus Iron Man. Hero against hero. The future of the Marvel Universe will be decided. In a war with no winners, only survivors. You've just lived every moment of Civil War number 6. But the war is not over. In the next issue, the clash reaches its breaking point, and no one will escape unscathed. So smash that explosive-like collision. Subscribe to Explosive Nerd HQ. Share this video with your fellow nerds. And tell us in the comments, whose side are you on? The end is near. Get ready for Civil War number 7.